Hello everyone, welcome to our YouTube channel, and today we are completing our schools of criminology. So in previous video we have started different schools of criminology, or we can say theories of criminology, different theories of criminology. Okay, different theories of criminology. So basically we have four different schools of criminology, or four important theories of criminology. So first two theories and schools of criminology is completed in the previous lecture. If you haven't seen that, please go and check that video out. So we have total four schools of criminology or theory. The first one is known as the pre-classical theory of criminology. Pre-classical theory of criminology. Then we have classical theory. Then we have classical theory. Okay, after classical theory we have neoclassical theory of criminology. And then we have the positivist, or the positive school or positive theory of criminology. We have positive school slash theory of criminology. So these are four types of theories which is given by different people. Okay, so we have completed the pre-classical theory of criminology, then the classical theory of criminology, or the classical school. Today in this lecture we are completing neoclassical school, and the positive school will be covered in the next one. So this particular lecture deals with neoclassical school of criminology. It deals with neoclassical school of criminology. I will write it here: neoclassical school, neoclassical school of criminology. So in previous class we have covered like pre-classical. So in pre-classical theory, the proponent of pre-classical theory used to say that there is a demon or a devil person or evil person behind that person who um, who does all the crime and all that. So the theory says that the classical theory says that it depends on the free will of that person. There is no demon, no evil personality of that person who is involved in crime and criminal activities. So the theory of free will came. Okay, the classical theory is it is dependent on free will, so it directly depends on the punishment. So the classical theory, or the classical school of criminology, says that it depends on the type of crime, and we have to punish those people in order to in order to keep all the other people in fear, so that they are not involved in the type of crime, or they fear involving these type of activities. Now neoclassical theory. So neoclassical theory, this theory of free will, the theory of free will of classical theory of classical school did not survive for so long. Okay, so it was soon realized that the exponents of the classical school, um, in their approach, is ignoring the individual's difference under certain situation and treatment of first offenders and the habitual offenders. Okay, what neoclassical theory said? Neoclassical theory. So neoclassical theory, wait a minute. So the classical theories, like the classical schools theory, was no longer no was no longer in use, because neoclassical people said that there is like difference between the treatment of first offenders and the habitual ones. It is really very wrong to give punishment to all the criminals in order to see, like, just to see their act. Okay, there is a difference between first offenders and there is a difference between habitual ones. Okay, so that's why this theory was rejected. The theory of free will was rejected. Okay, so in neoclassical, what happened in neoclassical? So in neoclassical theory, free will theory was rejected by neoclassical neoclassical people, let's say. All the proponents of neoclassical schools said that it is not accepted because there is a difference under under certain situation and the treatment of first offenders and the habitual ones. Okay, on the basis of similarity of act of crime, the neoclassical asserted that the certain categories of offenders such as minors, idiots, insane, incompetent had to be treated leniently in matter of punishment, irrespective of the similarity of their criminal act, because these persons were incapable of identifying a difference between right and wrong. Okay, so at a certain extent, neoclassical theory was saying correct thing. Okay, there is a difference between first offenders, there is a difference between habitual offenders, there are difference between offenders such as minors, idiots, and other people who have any type of disorder and disease. So we have to treat those people leniently as compared to the regular criminals. This was indeed a progressive step, we can say. Okay, what else was there? So neoclassical theory says there is a difference. There is individual difference individual difference between there is individual difference between certain situation. It depends on the situation. Certain situations along with certain situations and treating treating first offenders and habitual offenders. Okay, so this is because of the difference, it is not right to give the punishment according to the similarity of act. It's not right to punish it's not right to punish on the basis of on the basis on the basis of act or crime. Okay, act and crime. Next important thing that they said, that categories of offenders, they said what they said categories of offenders categories of offenders like minors, okay, apart from minors, idiots as in those people who do not have no who do not have presence of mind and correct mind to evaluate things. Okay, so minors, idiots, insane people. Okay, so what are the important points in neoclassical theory of neoclassical theory of criminology. So first point would be neoclassicist approach that the study of criminology or scientific lines by recognizing that certain situation or mental disorder which deprive a person for his normal capacity to control his conduct. Okay, thus they justified mitigation of equal punishment in case of certain psychopathic offenders. Okay, commenting on this point, Professor Gillen observed that neoclassist, all the people who were there in the group, neoclassists represent a reaction against the severity of classical view of equal punishment for the same offense. So they said neoclassist neoclassist approach that the study of criminology approach that the study of criminology study of criminology on scientific lines. So all the theory is on scientific lines by recognizing situation the situation by recognizing the situation or mental disorder, if any mental disorder of a person for his normal capacity to control his conduct. Okay, any type of disorder of a person in in normal capacity to control his conduct. Okay, second thing was neoclassists were the first to point out, to point of at the point of time bring out a distinction between the first offenders and the recidivists. And recidivists are those people who are habitual criminals. They are criminals because of their habits. Okay, so these were the people's neoclassist were the first school, not first school, neoclassist were the group first group of people who brings out okay, who brings out the difference difference between the first offenders and recidivist. Recidivists are habitual criminals, and first offenders are the people who committed any crime for the very first time. Okay, so they differentiated group of offenders, first offenders and recidivists. They supported individualization of offenders and treatment method, different type of treatment methods which require the punishment to suit the psychopathic circumstances of the accused. Okay, through the criminal act, it still remained the sole determining factor of adjusting criminality without any regard to the intent. Okay, so this is the difference between, so this was on the basis of difference between first offenders and recidivists. Okay, neoclassicist advocates for the school started with the basic assumption that the man acting on reasons and intelligence is a self-determining person, and therefore it is responsible it is that person is responsible for his conduct. But those lacking normal intelligence or having some mental depravity are irresponsible to their conduct. So they said there are few peoples, like one group of people are responsible for their act, and the other ones, apart from this, the other ones were irresponsible for act. Okay, so these people are irresponsible for act and these people are responsible for their act. So they are criminals, and irresponsible for act can be of a poor person or mentally challenged people. Okay, so there is a big difference between irresponsible people and responsible people. So responsible people can have the punishment. Okay, they can have the punishment, but the other group, the irresponsible people for their act, uh, will not have the same punishment for the like as the responsible people. Okay, next is neoclassics recommended lenient treatment for irresponsible or mentally ill criminals on account of their incapacity to resist criminal tendency. Okay, so they asked for leniency for those criminals who all are mentally not well. They are mentally ill. Okay, so neoclassist recommended they recommended that the treatment for incapacity or the treatment for irresponsibility. So neoclassics recommended lenient treatment for lenient treatment for irresponsible and mentally ill person. Irresponsible and mentally ill person. Mentally ill person. Okay, like any irresponsible person or any mentally ill person, they are not it's not correct to give them the same punishment according to the type of act. Okay, next is, it is really very significant to note that the distinction between responsibility and irresponsibility. Okay, that is the this is the sanity and insanity of the criminal as suggested by the neoclassical school of criminology. Okay, so subsequent formulation of different correctional institutes such as parole, probation, reformeries, open air campus were introduced in the administration of criminal justice. Thus, uh, it is um, it is through the school of that attention of criminologists was drawn for the very first time towards the fact of all the crimes do have a cause. Okay, so all the crimes do have a cause. It is really very evident It is responsibility. It is based on the responsibility and irresponsibility of the sanity and insanity of the person. Alright, it depends on the responsibility, responsibility of crime and irresponsibility of crime or for crime. It's all correct. Okay, it's based on the insanity and sanity. Okay, so it depends on these principles, these like these are the principle of neoclassical school. Then we have no classist adapted subjective approach to criminology and concentrated their attention to the condition under which an individual commits crime. So it focuses on it focuses on the environment of those criminals. Okay, so it is basically the neoclassical adopted they adopted subjective approach, subjective approach towards the criminology. Okay, fine. Okay, so these were the people or neoclassist, okay, who said that it is really very important to identify and to examine environment of the person and all the possible information about that person. Okay, so this is your classical theory of criminology. We are left with positive school of criminology. In positive school, you have basically 3 to 4 scientists who contributed in positive school. And yeah, the lecture here is all done and completed. If you have any doubt, you can put your doubt on comment box. We will surely address it. Don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram page and Telegram page. Okay, we have WhatsApp support number in the description box. Please go check that out. Thank you so much. Have a great day ahead.